Chapter 11, the t-test for two related samples. In this first video, we'll discuss how you know when to use a repeated measures t-test. Now, it might be helpful if you go to the top of the module to print out the flow chart for knowing when to use which t-test, as well as the formulas for Chapter 11, just to have those handy. So this should be a review from last chapter, where we discussed the between subjects or our independent measures, because the data collection is independent of each other. This sample's data collection is independent of this sample's data collection. This data is from two completely different independent participant groups. In this chapter, we're going to discuss a within subjects or repeated measures design and the t-test that's appropriate for that type of design. Here, the data is from the same or related participants groups. So we take one sample and they have a repeated measurement, whether it's data before or after, or one sample, we compare that on time 1, 2, and 3. There's various types of different designs you can do within subjects. Now, what is the type of t-test that we would do? So for a between subjects or independent measures design, we're going to use the t-test for independent samples because the means are independent of each other. They're separate and distinct. They come from two or more separate data sets. That's what we did in Chapter 10. In this chapter, we're going to cover a t-test for two related samples, dependent means or repeated measures. So again, we're taking one sample and we're repeating that measurement. So the means are dependent on each other in some way. For each of the following, I'd like you to say whether and then why you would use a t-test for an independent samples or two related samples. Now, I didn't put this on the problem set this time, but you might want to either have the lecture notes printed out or write down, quickly jot down some notes about the example, and then have it in your own notes for later on. So a researcher randomly assigns a group of 47 English speakers to receive a new Spanish language program and 48 other English speakers to receive the standard language program, and then measures how well they will do on a Spanish language test. So let's see, I've drawn a diagram here for you. So sample 1, we have a new Spanish language program, and there's 47 English speakers. Sample 2, they get the standard Spanish language program, and there's 47, actually probably 48 would be the right number there, right? English speakers. They both get a Spanish language test after the program, and then we compare. So do we have an independent measures t-test that would be the best, or repeated measures? Do we have independent measurements, or are they dependent upon each other? They are independent, so the t-test for independent samples would be the appropriate t-test to do here. Now, hopefully, if you look at your flow chart, you can follow along, and that can help you give you the answer to what you're looking for of which type of t-test to do. Here's another example. A marketing researcher measures 100 physicians' reports of the number of patients asking them about a particular drug during the month before and after a major advertising campaign. So again, here we have a pre-test, the number of patients asking for a drug, and we have a post-test, the number of patients asking for a drug. We have a treatment advertising campaign that happens in the middle, and we compare the differences. So we can think of this as a pre-test, post-test, or it can be kind of a small time series design type of study. Now again, is it just one group of individuals or more than one? It's one. It's one sample of 100 physicians reporting their patients that asked for the drug before and after some sort of advertising campaign. So the measures are dependent upon each other. So we would use the two related samples or repeated measures t-test. Here's another different example. A researcher tests the reaction time of each member of a group of 14 individuals twice. Once while in a very hot room and once while in a normal temperature room. So here we have hot room reaction time is measured. We have another one where a normal temperature room where reaction time is measured. So we have two different conditions. Now the question is, do we have two groups of individuals and we compare the difference, or do we have one group of individuals? Here it says 14 individuals measured twice, time 1, time 2. So we have one sample of 14 individuals. So again, the measurements are dependent upon each other. The measurements are repeated, so we're going to use the two samples or repeated measures t-test.